Welcome, people. The Graveyard. Today, I'm with Austin Dawkins. Love your last name. Angel. Witch. Right?
Witch.
Okay. Kawlers. I didn't want to mess that up. Kawlers, professional punk star. Angel, can you let the people know who you are and what you do?
I am Angel, and I am a witch for 21 years.
Wow, dude. That's a lot of time, bro.
Wild.
Yeah, and I'm 31, but
Yeah.
some say I look 25, so hopefully that's true.
Yeah, I caught you for 20 something.
Yeah.
You look very young. Angel, how did you get into the profession that you're in? What was the start?
So you see, I'm a descendant of witches in my family. And from when I started at like 9 years old, I would have these weird dreams and I would see things, but I was diagnosed with ADD. So my parents were like, that's just part of the ADD. There's no such thing as the paranormal. But it wasn't until I had this specific dream where I was in this church and I saw this coffin that was passing by with these bronze handles, image of the Virgin Mary. And seeing this, I was just like, this is weird. So when I woke up from that dream, I go to my mom, told her the dream, and she's just said, how is this possible? How can you know this? I don't know, Mom. I just saw it in the dream. And that's when she said, that was your uncle's funeral, and you were just 2 months old.
Whoa, 2 months.
2 months. There's no way I would have known the details of, the coffin.
Right.
Yeah.
And so ever since, I asked for tarot cards to, start my journey with spiritualism. While all my cousins got, Pokemon cards. So I was a black sheep of the family.
What age were you when you were asking for those cards?
At 9 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's incredible, bro. It was, and you said your family was a long lineage of witches. Were they very, like you asking? They're like, okay, mijo,
Well, actually, it was my great-grandmother. So
I see.
She was indigenous from Mexico, in Michoacan. And
We're
so,
from Michoacan.
yeah,
Let's
hey,
go.
brother.
Wow.
And so, yes.
Cool.
Puro Michoacan.
Puro Michoacan.
And so because of my great-grandmother, she was indigenous, she told me about herbs and about the spirit world. But because of my family, that's, this generation, they're all Catholic or Christian.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're not witches, we're just indigenous from Mexico. I just look at my aunt, I'm like, you have the nose of a witch. What do you mean? Like, come on, man.
You don't see it?
Like, exactly. Like, I see your broom, okay. You don't just sweep. But other than that, everybody else was just like, oh no, we're not witches. But my great-grandmother was like, no, we are. I'll just teach you what I know so far.
It's like, just keep it on the download. Jesus can't see us.
Totally.
But no, I was the favorite in that regard because, I was so interested in the paranormal.
Yeah.
And all my other cousins were just like, oh, we're going to go play football. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to chill with grandma and, hang out with the cauldron.
That's so cool. Very cool.
I like that, man. Yeah, because Western civilization, it's like, America, football, and it's like, you're like, nah, bro, I want to hang out the grams and learn more about this thing that interests me.
Yeah.
So from 9 years old, what's the progression? Did it steadily amp up your knowledge and you wanting to get deeper into it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So when I was 9, it was just the little things about the tarot cards, about spirits, the fairies, just the innocent life of the fantasy world or the paranormal. But as I got older, I started to go more into the darker stuff, into the demons, into, the gothic side of what the paranormal is. And as I got into my teenage years, that's when I started to look more into black magic or, voodoo magic, into the stuff that was a bit shunned by everybody else, especially in the early 2000s. Magic was just, a fantasy, and especially when it came to black magic, definitely shunned upon. But also it was an aesthetic of being punk or rock or metal.
Yeah.
So it was either a gimmick or like something really related to, the satanic view, just because of a pentagram.
Yeah. In your words, how would you describe the supernatural? From what you've seen, what you know, like what's your definition?
It's definitely another world that we are a part of, but either we refuse to see it or we don't acknowledge it.
And that's kind of when they say like spiritual warfare, right? It's like there's a lot of things happening around, possibly, and we're just oblivious to it. Do you know a lot about that kind of spiritual warfare, and like maybe what do they mean when they say that?
So it really does depend on the culture or the specific area of the spiritual warfare. Because you want to go down to the nitty-gritty, it's always about, good and evil, angels versus demons kind of thing. But when it goes into like the deeper stuff that hits the heart in terms of like accidents or tragic events where these souls can't move on because either they don't know they're dead or they're just stuck in this plane.
Yeah.
And there's people that just go in just to try to communicate with them just for the fun of it, but you're just pissing them off.
In order to kind of understand the supernatural realm, we're kind of the majority of people are, you would say, like Christian and Catholic, correct? Or,
Right.
So our understanding of the supernatural is like heaven, hell, that medium. What would you say is like the realm in which all this stuff is happening? Like, is it that heaven and hell and the afterlife, or is it beyond that?
We'll see with the Catholics or that kind of Christian denomination, there's always the heaven and hell, purgatory.
Yeah.
But then you have, other cultures that have their own versions of what heaven and hell is.
Different hierarchies, right?
Yes, definitely.
Different structures. Yeah.
So it's always more of like, without the lens of religion, then you just have the limbo, the spirit world. And then when you go deeper into the spiritual world, then you have other worlds like the fairy world, or you got different areas of different dimensions that you want to go deeper into that even we don't understand. We hardly understand the fairy world.
Yeah.
Fairy world.
I barely understand reality, but no, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Let alone fairy world, man.
Yeah. And
Watch
that's
out.
that's why I'm asking the questions, man, because I'm like, so what you're saying is like, depending on the person, or I don't make me put words in your mouth. I was like, so it's beyond us, but it's there.
Yeah.
The fairy world, I'm interested in that. What is that?
You see the fairy world, that's like the part where you're just like, okay, this is just fake, this is fantasy. But when you have accounted all these different pictures or evidences of, fairies or the fae in different areas of the world, different cultures throughout time, it's really hard to actually like say, oh, that's not real. When they have a similar picture from, Ireland to something that happened, here in America back when we had the natives. Like, there's some similarities. So I can say it's not real.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Kind of like a collective consciousness of,
Yes.
of things and cultures like that we come up with, like entities or whatever. Not necessarily come up with, but you know what I mean. Like we just deities, collective consciousness of like what's it called? Like creative images, basically. Of I'm not really making sense. I know what you're saying.
No, it does make sense.
Yeah. It's like say like an entity like a fairy or like a gnome or something like that, right? That all these cultures connect with. It, to a certain degree, it does exist, even though we can't see it in our day to day. Right?
Yeah, I
if
totally
that
get
makes sense.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
How I'm going to make it more sense is, everybody hears about like the hieroglyphs and the aliens. And
Right.
So like those are things that are happening, in Mexico and, in Egypt and Africa. So it's like people can assume that there's some sort of like cohesiveness throughout whatever they're.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I was totally understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said you got into magic from your grandmother, right? She was helping you along the ways. Was there anybody else that gave you the information? Where was your source of information as far as like understanding this realm? Was there anybody that put you on quote, or was it more self-taught through books and other source material?
No, it was just through books, completely self-taught, trial and error, especially when it came to understanding what it was to do magic and what was magic. Because there's this whole definition of that magic is either fake or there's magicians use magic, but it's an illusion. So when it came down to actually understanding what was magic, what I discovered personally was that the purest form is love. It's very cheesy, yes, but if you really think about it, you personally, when you had your first kiss, that felt magical. That first date. The moment where you were hanging out with this person, it felt like a magical moment. That was love. With parents, they would say the same thing when it came to seeing their child being born. It was a magical moment.
Wow, man.
It's like that light, right?
Yeah.
That white light of love. Yeah.
And your job is like connecting your physical reality sense here to that magic, understanding it.
Yeah, the source of magic, it's in everyone. It's everywhere. So some may say that, I'm wrong for saying this, but like when it comes to the Christians or Catholics, and they say, no, God is everywhere. Well, if God created everything, then why can't he create magic? Why isn't God magic?
I like that, man. For somebody that was early starting, like yourself, and trying to get into what are your things, what would you recommend them to like insert themselves into understanding, the paranormal, magic, just this knowledge that's not commonly taught throughout schools?
So the first thing to understand about going to this path of magic is it has to be your path. There is no path you should take. You could take anyone's path that they set out for, but it's going to be always your own path that makes more sense. So you got to make it your own. And you also understand that you will make mistakes and there will be moments where you just fall down the rabbit hole, and that's okay. It's just understanding what you want to do with this magic, which is to help you and better understand yourself and the world around you and the world you don't see.
It will find you kind of thing.
Yeah, you'll feel it.
Yeah.
Whoa. What types of magic are out there? Let's give the blueprint for the people that you guys have seen, experience, and work within.
You see, with mine, I've worked with people that have done voodoo magic, which is more for close practice. I've worked with people that do Santeria. Other people do what they call a black magic, dark magic. But there's always different forms of magics that people want to put a label to, like red magic, where they do the whole love spells. They got white magic when it's about healing and about helping others. But in reality, magic is just like nature, either good or bad. It's always going to be how either you interpret it or how the witch has it in their heart to either do good or do evil.
Wow.
I like that.
What about you, Asa? What kind of magic have you seen?
Well,
When Austin...
I definitely, something that that you could call magical, that maybe I feel on a day-to-day basis, is that like white light, that love, like you said.
Beautiful.
And I think that is in its own a form of magic, like you said. Sometimes like in my life, I have felt it so intensely that it will literally it feels like there's a white light, right, in my mind. But in terms of that, of a question of like different types of magic, I definitely believe that is a form of white magic. And the more I read about it, I would say with black magic or bashful magic, I was going to ask you if there's a difference between those two labels. Have you ever heard of bashful magic?
Yeah, there's the technically it's a baneful magic.
Baneful.
But
Yeah, that's why.
baneful and black magic. Baneful magic is more of like revenge,
Right.
to like hurt someone. Black magic falls into like a different kind of category on its own,
Right.
where it's all about like doing something to obtain someone like love, or to just hurt someone, or
Sure.
like to try to control another person.
Right. And whereas with black magic, it could be for personal reasons, like
yeah.
trying to get like something into your life or something like that, not involving someone, right?
No, that's correct.
Okay. So I'm aware of those two. I've heard red magic before, like you mentioned. Whereas I've heard of chaos magic. I'm not
Whoa.
exactly sure of what that is.
That's actually something that it's new, that started a couple years ago, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, my bad. But chaos magic is a combination of different cultures and different forms of magic to make it your own.
Sure.
So, for example, I could use, like the Bible to enhance my magic with all the good that's inside the Bible in terms. Or I could also use a different kind of cultural thing from someone's different, path of life and put it part of my magic. Like the voodoo magic combined with Christian magic, it would be kind of like weird to other people, but that's what causes the chaos.
Oh, I see.
So the more you add to your own magic from different cultures, it's
Okay.
chaotic, but it helps you understand it.
I
Right.
see. Is there a level of like entry level magic to like your, professor, like crazy, getting into some like very in-depth magic? Is there like a hierarchy there, or is it?
See, they want to create this kind of like Hogwarts feeling thing when it comes to magic and wizards and witches,
Enlighten us, brother.
Like people ask me when they do some magic with me, it's like, oh, cool, like, is it like Harry Potter? And I'm just like, okay, just because I got the glasses, don't mean I'm Daniel Radcliffe. Wish I could be like him though.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the actual magical part, it's like I don't have a wand and I just wave it and things happen. Like,
Yeah.
it's always going to be more of like you gotta wait for things to happen. Now, when it comes to like hierarchy, there is and there isn't. There is because of covens where people come in, they share their knowledge of magic, and they have different hierarchies of the high priest or high priestess, and the acolytes, the ones who are beginning to do the magic. But then there's people that don't have a coven and they just do their own thing. They're free-spirited, pretty much.
Sure. Okay.
What have you seen, Dawkins? Like, I know you're getting into this, and like, what has been your entry level to like understanding magic and the supernatural?
So I would say my entry point, I've always been interested in this stuff, whether it's, shown up in my life like here and there. I've always thought it was pretty interesting. I remember like an early example of it finding me was when I was going to a church. And I remember I was in the nursery during service with a friend of mine. And she was on the spectrum, but we were buds. We were playing around and all that. And during service, I could hear the music and everything's fine. It's just another day. We're just playing around in the nursery, and I look over to my right, and the door going to the storage room next to the nursery was wide open, and it's almost never open. And it was just dark in there. I was like, okay, that's weird. And so I'm like, whatever. So I keep playing with my friend, and I can't remember exactly what we were doing, but I remember at one point though, looking over to my right again at the dark, doorway, I remember seeing a very tall like silhouette. It's just pitch dark. Like the room around it was dark, but this silhouette was like looking into an infinite mirror. It was this like darkness that went on and on and on, and this tall silhouette of a man. And I was petrified with fear. Like it felt like I was paralyzed. And even when I'm talking about this and share this story, I still like remember those moments exactly. Like it was terrifying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, with my friend, I call her name. Let's just call her Sandra or whatever. I'm like, Sandra, do you see this? And she's like, yeah. And she starts walking towards it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and
Don't do
she's
that.
like, and she starts talking to it like, hello, hi, this and that. And I'm backing up because I know in my heart, like, this is something different. I've never seen anything like this before. This is something bad, possibly. My reaction was just, fight or flight, and I freaking flew out of there.
Yeah, you're like, I'm
and
out
so
of there.
I ran into a nursery, or into not the nursery, sorry, into the main hall of where the service was going on. And this church was kind of different. It was called the Unitarian Universalist Church, and it's a great church, but it's a group of people who are spiritually aware of all these different religions, and they're all about spiritual education. So each service, or for like a week or so, I forgot how exactly it's structured, but it's a really cool group of people. It sounds culty, I know it's not culty, but each week they focus on a different religion. So
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And my mom, being a science teacher, I mean, she is always open and always loving of all religions. And she always had respect for it, even though she really looked at, the world through a very practical set of lens, right? Yeah, of like a difference. She, I guess, when was having me, made the decision that I want my kids to be aware of all the various religions in the world and to have respect for them, right? And so she found this group, and there might be more history to it. I would have to ask her, exactly what made her choose that church to bring me to.
Yeah.
But that week, anyways, when all that happened, I think it was some sort of, I forgot what the religion was, but it was something like Wiccan or something like that. From what I can remember. And the service felt totally fine, but just whatever was in the nursery, I have never seen anything like that, in that church before. It felt like a very safe place for me to be there. Mm-hmm. But in that nursery, it just was like, whoa, what did I just experience?
That's insane.
My mom remembers me running up to her when she's sitting down and trying to calm me down. And she's like, what's wrong? And I was freaking out, saying there's a man, there's some sort of man thing in the nursery, but it's not a person.
Holy shit.
And what she said to me, she was like, Austin, don't be scared.
You're like, how?
Don't be scared. She calmed me down and everything. And she said, Austin, you may not know. It might be something good. It might be a good spirit. And I said, oh, okay, maybe. But I'm not sure if she's really had a whole lot of experiences with shadow people.
Right.
So I think there's definitely, you have to have respect for these things, but not ignorance. Because they will take advantage of you sometimes, and not in not good ways. And so that kind of started my journey with being interested in this stuff. I've always been interested in whatever it's called, ceremonial magic or white magic. Early on, I didn't know the difference between all of those. Mm. But as I got older and older, I started to learn what different entities stand for what different gods and different religions stand for what. And just how much spirituality plays in the lives of people from all around the world, and how other people, it's such a huge factor. But here in the West, it's, something that we just kind of get by without ever paying attention to it until something weird happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Angel, based on that story, what's kind of your analysis of it? What might have Austin been seeing?
From what I understand, since it was a shadow figure, like you said, there is a term for shadow people, mm-hmm. which is a different entity that we don't really know as much. And so with the kind of religion that they were talking about that day with Wicca, it really does pull in those kind of energies of like these entities trying to contact us for us to like, work with them and vice versa. So in his situation with Austin, I feel like this entity wanted to work with Austin, but his presence was like too much.
Yeah. It was a lot all at once. Let's say that. This was broad daylight too.
Oh shit.
This was not at night or anything like that. Like this was at like a 12 a.m. like on a Wednesday. And it, sure enough, right before my eyes, like I can still picture it in my mind, like the doorway and everything, seeing this thing. And it was fucking freaky. But that definitely sparked an interest in me. So, like you said, maybe it wanted to be a part of my life or something like that, just through being present during the ceremony, the Wiccan ceremony. And Wicca's not even like, I mean, it's a very old religion, very old practice, but basically it's a earth magic, right? Or it's a earth religion.
They do worship. Technically, they worship the earth and they worship the sky.
Right.
But they work with nature.
Right.
And they're really against actually like hurting people with their magic.
Right.
So because of that, they're more like giving. But don't piss off a witch, no matter what religion or spiritual practice they are.
Don't cut them off in traffic.
It's like we don't F you, we curse you.
They don't give you the finger, they give you the X.
Exactly.
That was
just make a shit with that. That's pretty good.
Honestly,
we're on it.
I felt like that was a very powerful lesson that I learned that day. And when I think about it, and the words that my mom spoke to me about not being scared of it, there's a lot of power in that. And I feel like that's something that I've channeled just growing older and not being scared of what I do, not being scared of taking risks, and also getting more in touch with like spirituality and the supernatural and magic. The power of not being scared is really great.
It really is.
It really is. So you can't let negative entities or whatever you want to call them, whether it's shadow people, weird fiends that show up in your dreams that night, or your ex.
That's one weird thing.
Or just like negative people in your life, you can't let them have the power to scare you.
No.
And I mean, from so many supernatural stories that I've heard about people confronting these negative entities and them mustering up the bravery, the courage to actually set boundaries with this thing, to communicate it, to say, hey, like, you're not going to fuck with me in my life anymore. It usually stops there once they do that, once they show bravery, right?
Yeah, you are a Gryffindor.
But, every now and then it can get trickier because things will attach themselves to you. And you may have to repetitively say, stop fucking with me. And then taking further actions like seeking a witch or taking some sort of like spiritual cavalry, and bring in the big guns and get this thing to fuck off.
It's like, fuck, when you're trying to weaponize, you fucking call Angel, bro. It's like, honestly, this guy's the fucking nuke of spiritual fucking warfare, bro.
We got you over here.
But there's all sorts of ways of doing that, like calling upon like archangels, like Archangel Michael for protection, or various different religion, angels, practices, clearing the space. It's multiple ways of doing that.
Most
right?
definitely.
Yeah, and one of the cooler ways that I've found in just making your home a safe space or sacred, or just cleansing it, is a lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram.
Oh,
yeah. So that's starting to get into white magic, and but also doing that, I've learned that it may sometimes open doors for spiritual stuff to come into your space, right?
yes, that's correct.
But you may also, I feel like if you set your boundaries, if you get more in line with your middle pillar, then it's you're strengthening that inner strength of setting boundaries with magical entities. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Same thing with the human world. You gotta have boundaries in the spiritual world as well.
Right.
And communicating with these entities, the supernatural, what's the process in that? Are you enjoying this episode? Well, if you are, check out our Patreon. For only $5 a month. You get ad-free, uncensored, extra content that's not available on YouTube. For $5, the price of a coffee. Speaking of coffee, if you haven't already, check out our store where we have the Skeleton Podcast mugs capable of holding any liquid at just the right temperature. This and more products available at skeletonusa.com/podcast. That's skeletonusa.com/podcast. Thank you. Let's get back to the episode. What's the communication like?
See, when it comes to like communicating with spirits, there's always going to be the Ouija board. And there's a proper way to play the Ouija board, but people don't understand that because they get scared and they just run, and it's like
they don't close the door.
Exactly. They don't close the door. And they wonder why, Becky's in there with Sage, like, oh my God, there's something here. And it's like, oh, you left the door open, sister.
Yeah.
What do you expect, Becky?
Yeah.
But in terms to like playing the Ouija board correctly, if I'm mistaken, is you got to play with more than one person, not alone. 2, when you're asking your questions, don't piss off the spirit. Because there are some questions that are, in a sense, dumb, that the spirit will get mad and will not want to leave.
And what might be those questions? Just curious.
But what I understand, like those like dumb questions would be like, am I going to get an A on this test?
Oh.
Or like, does John love me? Like those kind of things.
That's the petty questions, right? That really don't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like spirits are here to like trying to help you and guide you, but if it's just going to be contacting a random spirit, that's a no-no, unless you're not going to contact, grandma, be like, grandma, what's the recipe for, the apple pie? Like, that's a valid question. I want to know that.
Pissed off, dude. Why the fuck are you calling me, Johnny? I'm trying to lay in eternal rest.
Right?
Ask me some important stuff, not my secret
the
pie
property
recipe.
belongs to you, not them. But
and this is like Ouija boards. I know that's a whole thing, but like, can you just like walk? I mean, Toys R Us doesn't exist anymore, but like, if you're walking into Toys R Us and you like buy a Ouija board, like, how valid is that, and will that work?
Actually, yes.
What?
So you can go to Toys R Us, Target, any place that has a Ouija board, and that will still work.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's out of cardboard, out of wood, an ancient one.
Yeah.
Like, the intent of actually contacting a spirit is there, you will open the door.
It's like even if you got like dowsing rods or something like that from an online shop and you start to use it, you're probably with that intention going to get something. It doesn't really matter what the tool is as long as you're opening that door.
That's interesting to think about, because my understanding was like, I was like, okay, bro, this freaking one from Toys R Us, is it really going to like, communicate? Yeah. I always thought it was like more complex than that. You probably had to know a lot more like Angel to like make things happen.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to know that, don't mess with the ones at Toys R Us too.
No, yeah.
Right. If you're living and you have intention, then you're probably going to get a result. Now, where it starts to really get interesting, if you start using, say, a Ouija board that has been used a lot by a previous person, or if you start using a tool that's, been used a lot for like, let's say, more intense stuff purposes, then the energy that carries with it, you're probably going to get some residue from whatever happened before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From your practice, Angel, from your experience, what has been like the craziest thing? Like, I just want to understand like kind of the atmosphere and the things you see on a day-to-day, and like what might be interesting to the normal person looking in.
See, there's the good side about it is the help I provide others.
Yes.
To help them, guide them in the sense that, they were lost, they were depressed, or they couldn't find a way out, even with their religious view or psychological view. They needed that spiritual healing. And I love the part where I can actually help them. And they come to me like, hey, Angel, like, what you did, it really helped me out. Maybe with a tarot reading or maybe with a cleansing. Like, I could breathe now. I could actually, see my life together. And that's fantastic.
That's amazing.
That's a good part of it.
Yeah.
Now, the bad part, which is also the fun part, is these entities that I'm somewhat susceptible to. I see them sometimes. And it's mostly these, dark entities or sometimes demons that, attack me or they make their presence known. And to me, I'm just like, okay, look, I'm trying to sleep, dude. Like, leave me alone kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when it's kind of to like hurt me or like my loved ones, then it's like, okay, you gotta get out.
Yeah. That's where you cross a boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that's where you say, okay, I have respect. I'm not fucking around.
Yeah. Like I'm okay with, Casper chilling at my house kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But when it's, like another entity, like Samara being up in there, oh, hell to the no.
Yeah.
It's like that demon gotta go. Unless you could help me, we're cool.
Yeah.
Because there are some demons that actually can help you with your practice or with what you want. And of course, there are others that are more, destructive. But when it comes to that kind of magic, you really got to be careful with working with these entities.
Yeah.
Same thing with working even with the Christian God. It's still dangerous. I mean, look what happened in the Old Testament.
Right.
You don't want to mess with that. Same thing with angels. Like, when they come in, do not fear me. Why am I going to fear you?
Yeah.
Aren't you supposed to look beautiful and stuff? But now you got like a lion's head and like how it's depicted and, in the original artwork of angels and archangels. So these entities, no matter where you're going to work with, you got to have respect to them.
I love your answer, man. I was going to ask you, okay, this is great. Mythbusters, right? A lot of people, we're fucking indoctrinated, propagandized by fucking Hollywood. A lot of different things that are like thrown our way. And it's like, this is what this is. But like, what would you say are a couple mythbusters that you'd like to share with the people in your practice of just like us?
So there are other deities out there. There are other spirits, you can count demons, angels, jinns, fairies. But
You said the D word.
the D word, ooh,
What was it?
demons.
So with jinns, even saying
the
their name.
jinns. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Even saying their
Twice.
name, it's like, ooh, for some people in Arabic culture, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Sorry. I didn't mean
No,
to.
but the thing is, you can work with these deities, with these spiritual beings in your work, with your daily life. If it's spiritual work, you want to, work with Thor. That's the beauty of it, is that we have the freedom to do that. And with this new era that we're in, with the Great Awakening, as I call it, people are going back to their roots of their ancestors, working with their own, gods, per se. So I have people that they work with Thor, with the Vikings. I have people that actually work with Zeus or Athena because, that is their ancestors. Especially with Latin America, the thing with Santa Muerte is growing bigger because she's pretty much, this deity that goes back to, like the roots of the Aztecs. And so people are now renouncing the Christian belief because they see how in Christianity it's not as, good as they see it. The spreading the hate and all this stuff, don't get me wrong, there are some good Christians that still believe in love and, the teachings of Jesus Christ. But there's people who are just renouncing that and going back to their culture.
Yeah.
Of their ancestors.
It's important you said that because I see that a lot too. I see that a lot. But when you like watch Insidious though, it's like,
Right.
Are you like really like, this is a horse poo,
Right.
Or are you like,
or let's say another classic like Hereditary.
Yeah.
See,
Right.
when it comes to like horror movies and like,
Yeah, right.
it's a one thing about like being entertained by the horror movies. I can't watch horror movies because I just look at Samara like, I know you real bitch.
Right.
There's some things that's like, oh, it's based on true story. And it's like, was it?
Yeah.
Like the Exorcisms of Emily Rose. That is based on a true story. But in the real story, it wasn't a girl. It was actually a boy. So with that, it's like, okay, yes, there is evil out there, But when you see other cultures and their horror stories, then you understand more of like, okay, there's not just evil in America with, demons. There's evil fairies or evil spirit or ghosts in Japan.
Evil gnomes.
Evil gnomes, yeah.
And that's in the conversation I want to get.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's throw it to the gnomes, man. All right. What's up with the gnomes, man? He's been talking a lot about gnomes. I'm interested. Do you know a lot more?
I actually know something about gnomes. Ironically, with Austin, like liking gnomes being tall as fuck, you know. It's like, what's up with that, bro?
See some likeness.
Hey,
Right.
you know, my inner spirit is
Your
it
inner
might be
gnome.
my inner gnome. Yeah.
Your inner gnome.
No, but gnomes actually they're known as part of the Fae. So the Fae is pretty much a category like how we're known as a human race. But yeah, we got different kinds of ethnicities. Same thing with the Fae. How there's like you got the fairies, the gnomes. You got the elves, you got the sylphs. So different creatures that are known as the Fae. Now with gnomes, they're more known as the little people, and they're more like helping people and like doing their own thing. And from what I understand, there are some that can grant wishes, but still you got to be careful working with the Fae, even with gnomes.
Tricky slope.
They're tricky creatures as well, but they're mostly known to be in the Netherlands. That's where that's most of the popularity is in the Netherlands. As like with fairies, it's more like in Scotland and Ireland. But then it got bigger, with Europe and actual like England and stuff like that.
Wow.
Are gnomes kind of tied into Wicca at all, or any sort of those earth religions around that area? I would imagine so, right?
From what I understand, with Wicca, it's more about the spirits of nature. So because gnomes are elementals as well,
Right.
they're like earth creatures, then you can work with these entities as well.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm interested because I see your tattoo, the astrology and all this
Oh.
stuff. I love it, bro. And I was asking this question to Dawkins too that I was interested in asking you was like, a lot of the times people say there's this division between science and the supernatural, right? Or it's like they can't coexist, my end, your end, type thing. But like, have you seen the link and how they're kind of like a symbiotic relationship in a lot of ways?
In a sense, yes. So when it comes to like the whole science and the paranormal, in a sense, they are really hand to hand. Because how did we get chemistry? We got it through alchemy, which is,
Right.
a specific philosophy. And it was actually accidental because they were trying to create a philosopher's stone. So with that, it's just magic in a sense when it goes down to the potions and the spells and stuff like that. Now you put it with science, it's just manifestations, words of power, because words affect people.
Yes.
Like for example, I could just say to you, Elijah, like you look really sexy today. Look at that hair.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm not lying.
Hey, that was power.
It's
With
power.
those words, look how you reacted. You
Yeah.
smile,
Right.
you kind of turn a little bit red. So
Yeah.
words have power. Same thing
Words.
when it comes to like praying. Praying to a specific deity, the same thing as a spell. It is words with power and intent to a specific source.
And there's kind of like that new scientific research of like the flower or like the plant, right? Where they're like saying negative words to it and cussing at it, and like it doesn't grow as fruitful as the other plant next to it that was like giving words of affirmation and you'll grow strong and all this stuff. So that's
Right.
kind of what you're saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
The
isn't
magic
that-
of words.
Yeah, it is magic.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of interesting, bro? That stuff happens without our knowledge of like why it works, but like this is magic.
Yeah. Or manifesting stuff, saying like, please God, give me this, or please whoever, give me that. And just like thinking about it in your mind over and over and just saying stuff out loud. And then sure enough, it happens in, the least likely way that you thought it would. Right.
Of course.
Or sometimes like even the way you thought it would. Exactly. So it's those words that you keep using in your mind or saying out loud or whatever.
Dangerous.
Or something comes with it.
Yeah.
What you say, the universe listens and it delivers. So you can call it God, Allah, or any other word that defines this deity.
Right.
And sometimes you actually do get it. Like sometimes I've been thinking about cheesecake all day. I get home, my mom brought cheesecake, and I'm just like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
What?
Like, who gave you the cheesecake? We good. My mom's just
Yeah.
like, I got you the cheesecake. I don't know what you're talking about God.
Yeah. And you never get cheesecake, Mom. Like,
Yeah.
what the
I said,
hell?
what?
You always say we have cheesecake at home, but you actually bring home cheesecake one time.
Right.
Wow.
Best time ever.
Do you have any questions for Angel Duckus?
I got a couple.
I know you got a couple.
Fantastic.
I got a
itching off of
couple.
you.
So,
on
like
to
I
the
mentioned
next.
before, the
Yes, I'm
basics
single.
okay.
Yes, I'm seeing.
Yeah.
The
Like I
most
mentioned
important.
before, the basics of white magic. So like the I'm gonna mess up the abbreviation, but the certain ritual I mentioned before, the LB, lesser banishing ritual, greater pentagram, that one. Yeah. So with that, I know it can get more in depth. And once you master that, you say, start practicing, or they say start practicing what's the rose one? There's a rose ritual that's also meant to be very powerful for cleansing, as rose in the name.
But the Rosencrantz? 'Cause
Yeah.
I know that's a specific. I'm sorry if I'm probably gonna butcher it. I do
Sure.
apologize, but it's not a cult, but it is a group of people that do practice magic,
Okay.
like the Golden Dawn and like
Right.
the Rosy Cross, the Rosencrantz.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, so they are more known to be like more private with their magics,
Right.
but they have a lot of fusion with alchemy, astrology, and with witchcraft. So it really is difficult to understand the Golden Dawn and the Rose Cross or the Rosencrantz because of how like intricate they have their magics involved.
Oh, I see. So it's like you need to know the full context for the rose of cross.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
but that is powerful stuff right there, though.
Right.
When we said the
Okay.
middle pillar, I'm like thinking, okay, he's talking about like the actual middle pillar or the pillar.
Yeah,
Right.
I was listening to this occultist called Damien Eccles. Have you heard
I
of him?
have his book actually. Yeah, he's really good.
He's really good.
He is.
Yeah.
Great story.
So this guy was a member of the Memphis Three that wrongly got accused of killing 3 young boys in Memphis. And they later found out through DNA analysis that him and the other 3 teenagers, they were teenagers at the time, totally got blamed and wrongly accused just because they were really interested in magic and like heavy metal and stuff. This was during the Satanic Panic of the 90s.
Was this a documentary? I think I might have seen it.
It might have been a documentary.
I think so.
Was it like 3 young teenage boys and like was it like 1 victim or something like that?
I'm not exact. I think it was 1 kid.
Wow.
I think it was 1 kid.
I think I'm familiar.
Yeah. Anyways, so during his prison time, like waiting on death row, he started practicing high magic, and so started really getting more and more into that. And then years later, they find out he's totally innocent, and he was like in prison for like a long time. I'm probably getting the number of years wrong, but something like 12 years or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Better send him that fat check.
it's wild, man. And so now he came out with a book talking about the magic he practiced and all that. And a lot of it was related to the Golden Dawn. But yeah, it's just a very fascinating guy. So now he gives like YouTube videos and stuff on practicing certain high magic rituals.
Whoa, he's giving YouTube videos now?
Yeah.
That's dope.
It's
right?
cool. And so when the resources are out there, you can find it, but it is hard to sift through where to begin, where to start, and all that. I recently found that a good way of getting into it is beginning with that lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram and getting that down. And then Damien Eccles mentions practicing, what's it called? Middle pillar exercises. So aligning your inner 7 chakras. And
Wow.
these inner chakras, I mean, it ties back to Eastern philosophy and religion and awakening like the spiritual energy power points in your body.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
And
familiar
so,
to that part.
right. And so getting that down, getting that aligned, it puts you in a good place. Basically, it lays the foundation to start practicing more intense stuff. Right. So my question is, what I was trying to ask is, once you get those down, or what else should you get down as a foundation, if there is anything else, or would you be ready to just start practicing other stuff?
See, there's no actual real answer to that because everyone's going to start with something different.
Okay.
And the biggest advice I could give to those people that want to start magic is be patient with yourself.
Okay.
You don't have to do this complicated spell or potion to feel the magic. Writing down what you want on a piece of paper, getting, birthday candle, and saying your wish is good enough. It's about feeling the magic rather than, trying to be like Harry Potter at Hogwarts.
Right.
You don't have to do that. If you want to, you can, don't get me wrong. But to begin it, just be patient with yourself and feel the magic.
So there's no rush for it.
No, there really isn't. And you will always learn something new. Like I'm 31. I started when I was 9, and I'm always learning something new with magic.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Well, what would be some text or sources of information that really helped you when you were first starting magic per se?
So there's always different sources, and of course, back when I was young, children, I didn't really have that much internet, so I'd go to the library, magical place itself. But it was these books about magic. I believe it was Wizardology was one of them when I was a kid, because talking about wizards and stuff like that.
Right.
And that's when the rise of Harry Potter. So I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be him.
Yeah.
In a sense, I did become him. Without the wand. But there was also called the Solitary Witch that I read. But
I've heard that being recommended before. I've read that online. The Solitary Witch.
And then I also read the Secrets of High Magic. I forgot the author, but it gave me an understanding of different forms of magic when it came to magic itself, alchemy, astrology, tarot cards, herbalism. So once I got into that part, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do potions.
Yeah.
And one thing about potions, it may look fun, but it's dangerous because you have to know the herbs you're using. Some are poisonous.
Oh shit!
The biggest one, belladonna. Everybody thinks belladonna as in oh, that sounds pretty, or it's used for love magic or love potion.
Yeah,
it's poisonous.
Is that nightshade?
It's nightshade.
Yeah.
Yes, it's poisonous. Same thing with angel's trumpet. Oh, that sounds pretty. It looks pretty. It's poisonous.
Right.
Oh shit! It's wrong name, bro.
Exactly.
Angel's trumpet should have been the devil's
what's
pinky.
wrong with my trumpet? Well, actually, there are some with that kind of name. That are not poisonous.
That's crazy.
It's I have some herb called devil shoestring.
Yeah.
And it's used for good luck. So I'm looking at the side of the vial, and it's tells me everything about it. Okay, cool. Then I get the belladonna, and I'm oh, poison. Great.
All right, Kawlers has been sitting here quietly. Do you have any questions for Angel? All right, let's hear it.
Bring it on.
I got one. It's a little different. So I have a lot of tattoos, right? Some, I'll tell you, mean something, and some of them are just bro, I just like that shit. It's cool. But I have I got Gothic crosses on me. I have the sevens. So I have some tattoos that tie significance with me. So I see the ones on your arm, and it's, you got the Wicked Star, the pentagram. And I also see the 13 in Roman numerals. And I kind of wanted to know if there's is it just you just wanted to put it on you, or is there kind of a significance that because people believe that some tattoos you put that on your body, you mark it, there's some tie to it, that goes deeper than just I have some art on my skin or whatever. So is there a deeper meaning to the tattoos you have?
Yeah, actually. So with 13, 13 actually represents death in the tarot cards. And I got this for 2 reasons. One, because in the tarot card with death represents changes or actual death. So I accept death and changes for what it is. Second reason when I got 13 was because I got it with my best friend. So it's kind of a best friend tattoo kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we both accepted the change that comes with life. And ironically, he got married as well, and there's a change. So we still talk here and there. But that's the main reason why I got 13.
Okay.
And then with the pentagram or the tetragrammaton, it's pretty much for protection because tetragrammaton is Hebrew for the name of God, which is Yeshua. So that's the main reason why I got this one. And it's actually my favorite tattoo besides, the crescent moon and then like the solar system.
Yeah.
But these tattoos, I got sober. And because I like them, I got one in my back that says Evil Angel because I was drunk in college like 11 years ago. So I thought it was just angel. It's supposed to be angel in Japanese. But when I took a look at my haircut, this lady who knows how to speak the language, she looked at my tattoo. She's like, you got to put something else on there. I'm like, why? That means evil angel. Lady.
Wow.
What? Are you sure that it means evil angels? It doesn't mean anything else? No. Okay, we're cool.
Yeah.
We'll leave it as evil angel rather than,
it's not
something
bad.
else. It's not that bad.
It's kind of cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I like it. I like the star a lot. It looks really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ones.
That's cool.
But do you feel any type of like real ties to it? Like being on your body? Is there like is there something deep with it?
There are moments where like when I'm scared or like something happens, I actually grab it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm activating it or like some kind of protection. Or when I miss my friend, I just grab the tattoo. So there's always moments where like something happens and I just grab them or I activate them sometimes. And there's moments where I forget I have tattoos. I bet that happens to you too.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh shit, a tattoo. Well, look at you.
There definitely is a magic to actually conjuring it up in the physical world in the form of a tattoo, right?
Right.
There's definitely some energy there and some magic there. I would imagine it'd be the same if you were to like get a tattoo of like a demon sigil on you.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting. That's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
It's like when you mark that on your body. I believe personally, it does go. In some ways, like I said, I have tattoos that I just think are cool, and that's all it is. But there are some tattoos like the crosses, the wicked stars, even the spiders I have. I feel like those are definitely more deeper ones, and those I feel like brought something more once I got it. Like once I got the sevens tattooed on me, like I felt like something came with me when I did that. Little good, little bad, but I think something extra came with that. There's like a deeper tie to it.
It gives you some kind of empowerment as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you get a specific tattoo, you just feel more empowered, or in a specific way, it's like
You feel like bonded, kind of attached to it in a different way.
definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Angel, I'm curious, is there any other questions around the table that we should answer before we...
What's your favorite demon?
I gotta say Lilith.
Lilith?
My girl Lilith, the dark goddess.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah, okay, I'm just going to throw out a wild one, because I feel like we got to. Have you ever, spoken to a demon, bro?
Actually, yes. This is actually really heavy because it was my cousin. The first exorcism I did was on my cousin. And that was the most scariest moment of my life, besides getting a notice from the IRS. But
God damn it.
that's scary, trust me. IRS scarier than any demon. But I actually was able to speak to that entity because my cousin was possessed. She played the Ouija board like a dumbass, and it's like, you're not supposed to be dumb, bitch, but she did it anyway. And in that timeline, I was in high school, so I learned more about black magic and about demonology. So I had to muster up the courage, to demand it to leave my cousin and stuff like that. But she was with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend was helping me out as well. But the creepiest thing about that was all this started at midnight when she was possessed and she was, being Samara. But when we're doing this exorcism and we're trying to get this entity out of her, it was so draining. But when we were done, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. But it felt like only 30 minutes passed by.
Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was a scary part because time went by so fast that to us, I thought it was just 30 minutes. And, the demon did leave and everything. And my cousin was scared. So every time I see her on Christmas, I'm like, hey, what's up, little demon? And like everybody just looks at us like, what? Why are you saying that? Oh, you don't need to know that.
Yeah.
It's like 11 years ago. But yeah, no, that was one time I did speak to it. And it was scary as hell.
So how exactly was it making itself known? Like how was it reacting to what you were doing?
So my cousin, she's just like party 5'4", thin girl. And granted, we're still in high school, we're seniors. And so when she was getting possessed, her boyfriend goes to, give her a hug as like the power of love, power of friendship kind of thing, like to the anime or something. So he's hugging her and then she just pushes him. And this dude is like 6'3", playing football and everything. And he flew. And I'm here like, oh, hell to the no.
Yeah. I was
Like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
She-Hulk over here? And that's when I'm like, okay, she's possessed. We got to do something that is not normal. As we're trying to talk to her, it would not give us a name. Would not give us a name. Because they hold that. The name is powerful.
It's sacred.
Oh,
It is. Like,
Right.
if you remember Rebel Soul Skin with the whole name thing.
Yeah.
That's another version of why names are so powerful.
Right.
But
It's like similar to the Jinn fiend, where if you bring up names, if you say it, it's manifesting more and more in your mind or other people's minds, and it starts becoming more powerful, right? You're conjuring it more into the physical world.
But in that timeline, we just had to force it out. We couldn't really get its name. So we just forced it out. And, most of the part, he did because he was mostly into the whole Christian religion.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't too familiar with those kind of scriptures. I was mostly familiar with the magical part of getting exorcism, which is pretty much using like specific herbs and stuff like that. And yeah, at the end of it, she's just, the one thing I could say that is true in horror movies with a possession, throw up.
Oh,
They
shit.
do vomit. But it's not like exaggerated vomit, like, like The Exorcist,
Yeah, it's
like,
explosive.
Gets messy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not like, wow.
Oh,
But
shit.
you do vomit because the residue that's inside has to come out in that physical manner.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I see.
So demons, for the most part, like Christian demons, known in the demonology, right?
Right.
Respond to Christian rituals and practices when exercising, right?
Yes.
Okay. So could you bring in any sort of other like religions, like exorcist rituals, and practice that on the demon, and it would still work because you still have intent, right?
Yeah, as long as the intent is to like get rid of this entity, even though you're using, like practices from India where they use, a bell, or they have like specific like scriptures in
Right.
their own way of doing things, you can still get rid of that entity as long as the intent is there and you know what you're doing using these items. Of power.
Right. So, but they just really respond very well to like Christian-based like rituals and
that's
stuff like
the
that.
thing with like demons and demonology, it's so catered towards, the whole Christian belief or either Christian belief or towards, Arabic or Hebrew belief and stuff like that.
Right.
But demons themselves, it's funny how there's this notion that you got to speak Latin
Yeah.
to call a demon. You've seen all those
Crazy, bro.
memes.
Yeah.
Like you mess up, like you homework, a demon shows up.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
But demons know every language.
Oh,
It
I have
doesn't
heard
have
that.
to be Latin. It doesn't have to be Arabic or Hebrew.
Right.
You could just say in English, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, Italian.
Mm-hmm.
The demon will appear. In a sense, they will be summoned. So it's not just Latin based.
Right. Okay. Got it.
I would like to give you the floor, Angel. People that need services, exorcisms, name your services and also where to find you.
See, so I do fortune telling. I'm a tarot reader. So I read the cards and help and guide in the best I can. But I also do cleansings. I do Olympias to get rid of the negative energies. I also do the whole exorcisms to get rid of demons or dark entities from the body or from the houses and stuff like that. But you can always just reach me at my Instagram, AngelHex27.
Okay.
Or, just jot down my number.
We can use it.
I
Okay.
can say it right now.
No. Do you want to share it or no?
Yeah, you mean, well, not online.
Okay. Yeah. I'll put it. We'll link your Instagram, and then if they contact you, you can give them your number.
Yeah, sounds fantastic.
You can also use a scrying mirror to conjure up Angel on his face. Will just show up. He'll just be like, "What's up?"
Just
dude?
put some hookah, some cheesecake, glass of wine. Also
cheesecake wine.
Yeah, bro. For sure, you gotta have cheesecake and hookah for this guy.
Oh,
Even if you spell out Angel on a Ouija board, Angel might reply.
I probably will. My quarter voice smell like I'm smoking that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, AJ. I'd like to, thank you so much for being on and sharing your story and your expertise. I really appreciate it, brother.
Well, thank you for having me, Elijah.
Of
Had
course.
a great time.
Thank you, guys. Thank Dawkins, thank Kawlers.
Thank you, guys.
If you did enjoy this, guys, make sure to check out our Patreon where we have other multitudes of content exclusive. This one's going to be on YouTube, so you guys are going to see it. And thank you as always, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Later.